details and everything, but I have to pick and choose. So when it comes to reflecting on my scouting career up until now, I think the best place to start is the very beginning. I was in first grade at Monty Gardens Elementary School for open house. And when the kids, they show their figure paintings, their hand turkeys, all the nice artwork. And my parents and I, and probably my sister Danielle, we were in the cafeteria where they were serving ice cream. They were being served by the Scouts and adults of Pack 62, the Cub Scouts. I got an ice cream, of course, and it was very good, I think. But I also had this idea. I wanted to be the one that serves the ice cream. I don't know, I just thought it was cool. It's like, wow, I get to be the ice cream man. I get to serve the ice cream. My parents mentioned that I also pointed out, like, oh yeah, the uniform's cool too. But I don't have a recollection of that. It still looks cool though. But yeah, so either way, I joined Pack 62, where I was placed in Den 2, which was led by Mrs. Schmidt. And Den 2, I met and befriended Christian Schmidt, who is one of the few, if not the only person who I've been friends with since first grade. All the other kids I used to be friends with have come and gone, but not Christian. As Cub Scouts, we went to a lot of fun places, like a recording studio, I think. We filmed like a skit, did The Invisible Bench. It's a classic. We also went to the police station, and we even went to Baskin Robbins, so more ice cream. I also remember going car camping a few times at Camp Briones, and going to summer day camp at Old Marsh Creek Springs Park, where my dad volunteered as a group leader for a few summers, as well as Mr. Yada. It was fun for me, of course, but you'd have to ask my dad and Mr. Yada what they thought about managing a bunch of rambunctious young boys. At the day camp, I remember shooting BB guns, shooting arrows, and shooting marshmallows from a homemade PVC pipe marshmallow gun, which was pretty dope. Of course, most of the time I spent in Cub Scouts was just going over to the Walters house to go learning something about Cub Scouts, although I mainly remember just talking and running around in his backyard with all the other boys in Den 2. Another thing I remember is doing a lot of fundraising, mainly thanks to my mom's encouragement. She was very good at having my sister sell Girl Scout cookies, so she had me do the same, but with Boy Scout popcorn. The only difference was cookies are way better than the popcorn that we sell. Of course, I still have to push it. Oh yeah, it's a good deal. Cheddar is my favorite. Regardless, I spent a lot of hours in front of Safeway with my mom trying to get people to buy or donate something. I also did a lot of door-to-door sales, which led me to my first encounter with Mr. Stark. He lived a couple neighborhoods away from me, and with my mom, I knocked on his door. He bought some popcorn to support me, but he also told me one thing I have not forgotten. I really hope my memory's not failing me on this one, but I remember him telling me that he used to be a Cub Scout in Den 2 Pack 62, which, as you know, I was a Cub Scout in Den 2 Pack 62, and what a coincidence. To add on, I can now say that, like Mr. Stark, I achieved Eagle in Troop 370. As I got to the end of 5th grade, my friends in Den 2 were trying to figure out what troop we should join. We didn't really have an idea of where to go besides Christian, who told us that he was joining Troop 370 since his older brother, Eric Schmidt, was also joining Troop 370. So we followed Christian and went to a couple of their troop meetings, which I thought were awesome compared to the Cub Scout meetings in the school cafeteria. I was going to be with older kids soon, many of whom were funny and friendly. Sure, I might miss the Pinewood Derby car racing, being in a boy-led troop in our own shack, far outweighed all the beads and candy that come with Cub Scouts. And so, towards the end of 5th grade, the bridging ceremony happened, and I was now officially a member of Troop 370. In the troop, I was eager meeting new friends, many of whom are in this room or in my memory. Now then, there's a lot of outings and stories I'd like to talk about, but I could go on for hours. It's hard to pick a favorite, but each of the 7 Camp Chewanakees, the 50-mile kayaking trip in Moab, Utah, and the 50-mile backpacking trip in Desolation Wilderness come to mind. I love Chewanakee because of all the creative merit badge counselors, the lively songs, the comedic skits, and all the dusty camp gadgets that we got to make. For the Moab kayaking trip, I liked the desert and the rocky walls, although I could deal without the heat and the swarms of pesky mosquitoes. And I love the 50-mile backpacking trip, and I love the 50-mile backpacking trip because of the tranquility, the exhaustion, and the scenery. Oh, and a short bear encounter, as some might remember. On the last night of the trip, I cried because I was sad that it was over and I didn't want to go back to Concord. On these outings is how I came to love camping and the outdoors, but most of all, I got to joke, talk, sing, and play contact, which is a word game, with my friends. I mean, without them, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did. To me, Boy Scouts was more about the friends and the adventure, and the rank advancement was like a side thing. Rank advancement was still important as my mom and other Scout leaders kept asking me why I hadn't advanced in a while. I am thankful to those who asked and encouraged me, especially to Mrs. Schmidt, who helped me schedule 2 Eagle required merit badges for Camp Chewonki and helped set up a Life Scout Board of Review for me at camp. Which now brings me to talking about earning Eagle and the Community Service Project. My advice, as Mr. Stark and my mom would agree, is to get everything done sooner. Don't do all your 3-month-long tracking merit badges the year that you turn 18 when you still have 3 other Eagle required merit badges left to earn. Talk to other Scouts and see which counselor they had. Which reminds me, I am thankful for Mr. Puckett meeting with me for the first aid merit badge, Mr. Steelhammer for the citizenship in the community and citizenship in the nation merit badge, Mr. Stark for being my counselor for the personal fitness merit badge as well as being my Eagle Project mentor, and Mrs. Banter for the personal management and family life merit badges. Without your volunteering and commitment, I could not have done it. Regarding the Eagle Project, I have the same advice. Start sooner rather than later. Doing this project was the most stressful thing I have ever done, but it's only because I waited to the last minute to do it, and I have not experienced with construction. And it's better to start earlier, as you don't know what will trip you up. A pandemic, sweltering heat, rain and lightning, poor air quality because of smoke. I was frustrated dealing with these obstacles. I was running out of time. And it's only thanks to Mr. Yada and Mr. Stark for helping me keep cool throughout the stress. And I'd be nowhere without my mom making sure that I send the numerous emails on time and correctly formatted, as well as driving me from each of the several lumber yards, hardware stores, and grocery stores for supplies and materials. In addition, I would like to thank the Rotary Clubs for helping providing lots of the funding for the project. Lastly, I feel that I am forever indebted to those who volunteered to help me build the ticket booth, especially for waking up early, bringing extra drills, doing manual labor, and giving advice and suggestions that I desperately needed. It makes me cry that all of you came to support me during the construction, and it makes me happy to see you all celebrate with me here today. And so, the great takeaway here is that you should not skip out on an opportunity, especially if it's one that involves ice cream. Thank you.